channel. Today I have a nice haul video for you from pretty much my last trip to the junk stores before California had the shutdown. It's April 2020. It's a crazy world out there. I'm glad you guys are here to enjoy some fun with my vintage finds. So the first thing I have to say, I'm not so sure if it's vintage. I picked this up at a consignment store on my way to the OC mystery box. He has some fake crazing going on, so I'm not so sure that he is vintage, but he's really cute, so I took him home. I paid about $5 for him, and he's going to be living at my house. Cute little owl, made to look vintage. All right, so at the OC mystery box, I found some really great finds. This is a family-owned business that buys up storage lockers and digs through all the stuff, finds the good stuff, and then puts it in their great store. So the first thing that I found that was really cool is this, I believe it's 1960s, it's a cactus majolica salt and pepper shaker. And there's these really cute little cactus flower salt and pepper containers, and then they sit in this cute little cactus holder. I wasn't quite sure what kind of plant this was supposed to be, so I looked it up through reverse image search, and sure enough, it's a cactus plant. So that's really fun for the southern dry states to kind of have around in the kitchen. All right, the next thing I found was this great little teddy bear, and he is actually a honey jar and still had his honey stir stick. So there's a great little slot in the back for that to stick out. It's in really good condition. It has some crazing due to age. And on the bottom it says Houston Foods 1982. So I'm sure there's going to be a collector out there that would want to have this in their kitchen. And he's just got the cutest little expression on his face, so he had to come along with me. The next thing I have, actually these few items I'll save for last because these are not from the OC mystery box. All right, the next item I have is this big blue basket hanging out back here. It's super heavy. I'm pretty sure it's stoneware. It's in very good condition. This was pretty dusty and dirty, but once I gave it a nice scrub, it turned out just to be beautiful. And it is stamped made in Italy. So I imagine that this was probably for someone's dinner rolls or baguettes to just throw in there. I'm gonna call it a bread basket, and it's a lovely pretty sky blue color, so someone will love to have that. I grabbed a little vintage milk jar, and it says it's a half-liter jar. And on the bottom it has a really neat little blown glass grape motif, and I thought that that was really neat, so I picked it up. It was only $1. Obviously the coolest looking find on the table is this tulip or trumpet glass, art glass. It is hand blown. I'm thinking it is mid-century from my online research, but it's got some really neat colors in here, some swirls of white and orange and almost like a red color. And I just stuck a succulent in it for fun because I wanted to put something in the center. These are actually not worth a whole lot. They go for between 15 and $30. I paid about $8 for it. So it might end up living on my dining room table because it's so neat. So you may not see this in the shop, but we shall see what's going to happen with it. The next item I have for you is this really neat little vase over here. It caught my eye as I was walking by it on the shelf because of this really neat pattern that you see around the top here. It almost looked kind of Native American to me. On the bottom it is signed D. Stewart, and when I looked up D. Stewart, he is a very prominent mid-century artist, and mostly pottery. So the value on this is probably, out of everything on the table, is probably the highest. And I haven't quite determined how much I'm going to ask for that. So we'll have to see. I need to do a little bit more research and find some recent comps. But that was surprising. I kind of took a risk on there because I don't typically get pottery items. It's more housewares and glass. So the next item here I found at the OC mystery box is this lovely little, it's a needlepoint, and it has a date on it of 1910, and it says Clara over here. Unfortunately, and you'll find this a lot with old pictures and old frames, that people will tear off the back because a lot of times they would hide other art or sometimes money or items of value in there to keep them safe at home. So I have to do a little bit of repair work on this one, but it is so neat. I really like the picture of the house and the little trees that are on the sides here, and it's got a double chimney happening on the top. It definitely needs to be cleaned up, and I'm going to have to do some major research on how I can do that safely, or I might just leave it up to the buyer to go ahead and clean it up and repair it as they see fit. So that one was really neat. I think I paid around $8 for this one. This was one single glass, and we call this kind of glass carnival glass because it has this sheeny, bubble, rainbowish appearance to it. I thought that it would have been a Fenton maker, but it is not by Fenton. From my research, it is something else, either Indiana Glass or one of the other glass companies that was in the mid-century time, so anywhere from the late 40s to maybe 1960s. But it is a fun little goblet, so I had to take that home and rescue it from the shop. Someone might have a set somewhere and they're looking for just one, so that will be going up. The next thing I have here is this lovely hummingbird feeder. So I'm not quite sure how vintage this is, but the little label that's on the inside of the feeder bowl here has some, older looking print to it, and it says, to avoid cracking, do not refill bowl when hot. On the bottom of it, it has some cork feet, and it is stamped made in Poland. So this is a Polish hummingbird feeder, and it too has a really neat iridescent glaze on it, and I have no idea what to call this type of ceramic. It is a ceramic, it's not a glass. After I took it home, I noticed that there is a fine little crack right here where the hummingbird's beak is meeting the flower. And I would have no way to repair this, so it might end up living in my garden. My husband's really fond of hummingbirds, so we might be keeping this one, but it was a really neat find. I feel like I paid less than $15 for it, for sure. And it is just so neat, so I'm really glad that we got to keep that one. All right, so now we'll kind of go over here. So at the OC Mystery Box, they have this great shelf that's the dollar shelf, and that's like the first place I go to look for my finds that usually I can, clean up and try to make some kind of profit on. Right before the California stay-home order, it was, we were heading into Easter season. I knew that the shops would probably be closed down for a while, so I sourced my heart out. I went to probably 5 different thrift stores and the OC Mystery Box, my favorite junk store. So on the dollar shelf, I found these little bunnies, and they were great for Easter. So I didn't get them up in time for Easter, but next year they are going up. I had to get them cleaned up and figure out what I'm going to ask for them. I don't think that they are vintage, so they will probably be on my eBay store. They are from World Market, and they had a price of $4 a piece on them. So I'm pretty sure I got all of them for $1 or so. The next item I found in that section, around that section, is this lovely pineapple, I'll say console bowl, or maybe like a candy bowl, and it is stamped tropical by International Silver Company. So I don't know if this is silver plate. It probably is a silver plate. It almost looked pewter to me because of the color of it, but I have no way to know because it's not really stamped 925, so it's definitely not silver. or sterling silver. It does say 8150. So if anyone knows how I can tell what kind of metal this is, like, let me know. It does have a little bit of corrosion, green corrosion, so this could be a pewter possibly, with a little bit of lead in it. So you probably don't want to put candy in here actually. It would probably want to be something, you know, like a catch-all maybe for your keys or just for display. And that's how you can tell with pewter if it's a tin made with some metal alloys, and if there's lead in it, then it does have a greenish hue. But not all corrosion, you know, is indicative of lead. This one had a really cool shape to it. It's not super deep, but I just really like those lines. It's really lightweight, and it's got this really cool little pattern on it, and it looks like it was either etched or maybe hammered on. I'm not really sure what you would call this effect, but it had to come on with me because I love those lines. So that will be up on the shop. It would be great for a guest bath to put some, you know, hand towels or some soaps, or in a guest bedroom for, you know, displaying some water bottles or whatever. So that's a cute little fish. All right, so the next thing we have on here is this is actually a Murano glass bowl. And we know it's Murano because of this really flat pontil mark, which is where the hand-blown glass gets cast off of the machine. This one has a little imperfection right here. It's not a crack, but it is a little divot in the glass, and I see just a couple little bubbles on the bottom of it. This is probably the most boring Murano I've ever found in the wild. And I've seen it before at other thrift stores and whatnot, but it was never a good price. I want to say Salvation Army had this priced at like $60 at some point. But I found this at the OC Mystery Box, I'm pretty sure, for less than $10. The current value of it definitely has dropped since I started hunting Murano last year. So probably going to ask anywhere from 15 to 20 bucks. So I won't make a lot of profit on there, but it is Murano, so I had to save it from the wild. I didn't want it to get broken or something at the shop. Okay, next I found these guys also on the dollar shelf. They are what I'm going to call a resin carving of a pilgrim couple. So they are very Thanksgiving-ish. He's got some corn down by his feet, and so does she. So they would look really neat on the Thanksgiving table. So those will go up sometime in November. Or I might list them now. People kind of are hunting for holiday stuff all year. So they're very ornate, they're very detailed, and somebody spent a lot of time like painting them and getting them ready. So I went ahead and saved them. They don't have any stamps or anything on the bottom, so I don't really know how old they are. So they will probably go likely in the eBay shop or even on Mercari. All right, the last thing I got from the OC Mystery Box is this beautiful art glass. So this is definitely hand blown. It does have a very flat pontil, however, it is not indicative of Murano. And I did a lot of research on that. There are several of these listed on eBay as Murano, but never believe what some random person's listing. I went ahead and asked my Facebook group called Old Things Identification, and nobody was in agreement that this was a Murano. However, it is a very beautiful piece of art glass, and it could be from Italy. However, it is not from Murano. It does bubble up here in the middle, which is kind of neat. So that one will go on the shop. It's got, a little bit of scratches here and there, but overall it's got a beautiful effect, and it's in pretty good condition. This one I paid around $8. So I'm probably going to ask, I don't know, maybe 15 to 20, maybe 25. It depends on what the market's doing with them. And someone had told me what the name of the maker, or what it was similar to, but I can't remember the name of it. I'm sorry. I'll put it in the comments if I remember, or in the description, sorry. And okay, so that was it for the OC Mystery Box. Great place. I can't wait till the stay-at-home orders are lifted so that I can go back and source some more. Okay, Now, just for a couple of items that I found at the thrifts from some of my other final hauls. This one I found at the Goodwill in San Juan Capistrano. It was just sitting on a shelf kind of looking at me. It's got an iridescence to it, so it's what we refer to as lusterware. And it's hand painted, most likely made in Japan. There was a sticker on the bottom, but it's worn off and gone. This has deep, heavy crazing inside of it, so I don't know if I'm going to sell it. It's a fish. I have a thing for fish, so I might end up keeping him. But I don't think that it should be used for coffee because of the crazing that's on the inside of it. Plus, when I shake it, I can hear something inside of it. So it might become a succulent planter. We could fill it up with some dirt and give it a nice flower of some kind. So that'll look cute. This I found at one of the thrifts. I believe it was the Laguna Hills Salvation Army. On the back it is stamped W7683, so it is probably from either the 60s or the 70s. It's just a little wall hanging. I went ahead and replaced the twine that was on there because it was kind of old and grody. So I put a new piece of twine. But it could be a little, centerpiece for a table to kind of hold your salt and pepper shakers, or anything else that you can think of that's kind of a centerpiece. But it has just some great pattern to it and great colors. I want to say that this is maybe a Mod Podge, but I'm not really sure how this was made. But it's got some great colors, just a great theme there. So yeah, so that would look great on someone's wall. The last thing I have on this table is actually something that was being holding this picture frame. But this is a very special box that was given to me by a man whose antique store was closing. He was going to get ready to retire. It was down in Orange, and he was moving to Arizona with his wife. They bought a home there. So I saw this box, and I have a thing for stars, so I asked him, how much is that? He tried to sell it to me, I think, for $10, and I was like, oh, no, thank you, because it's really torn up. But I bought some other things from him, and in the end, he went ahead and gifted this lovely old box, vintage box, to me. So what's really interesting is that when I open it up, it just reeks like roses. So I don't know if somebody maybe stored rose petals in here or rosaries. I'm not sure what was in here, but it's a little bit dirty, so I gotta figure out a way to clean it up. But for now, it's gonna live in my junk shop. It might be a really great crystal box to store crystals, so it may end up going on the on the shop in that section for metaphysical items. So that is the conclusion of my haul from OC Mystery Box mostly, and then a couple other thrift stores. I'm going to try to get some more stuff together to make you guys some more videos so that you don't go crazy bored at home. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Stephanie Rose with Perpetual Arcana. Have a great rest of your day.